What's up, guys? Jeff here, and before we get too far into this, if the camera gets wonky, does the focusing thing, which has been a little bit of a problem lately, and I don't have a whole lot of battery left either, I think I might try doing a live stream here and there. Actually, that's what I was setting up to do originally when I sat down to do this, and like immediately had problems. So if you guys would be interested in doing maybe a live stream once a week, let me know down in the comment section down below, and maybe I'll go through the process of figuring that out and basically do a live stream maybe once a week. Maybe we do like a Thursday night live. But one thing that I did think about as far as putting something together, because today kind of got away from me. There was a lot of things like immediately in the morning. It was kind of a hectic morning. I had three deliveries show up all at the same time, even though that I'm like doing my best to schedule these deliveries and have maybe 1 or 2 deliveries max a day. With the way that things work out, it tends to not be great more often than not, and no matter how much planning I try to do, it just doesn't seem to be working out. So this morning started off hectic. Eventually we got open. I didn't turn the open sign on. One of the first customers was like, "Hey, your open sign's not on." And I was like, "Oh yeah." But I had essentially freshwater fish show up, I had an invert show up, I had corals show up, and it was just kind of a deal to try to drip acclimate my inverts, dip my corals, and add freshwater fish to the systems. So what I want to do tonight, because I'm kind of short on time, I kind of wanted to go through some of the comments, and I'll pick out a couple, answer them, and go from there. First one that stands out to me says, "So when are you hiring?" As far as for me, I think that the most important thing is making sure that when I do decide to hire, which I 100% plan on hiring, the goals that I have for this shop and also other things that I'm going to be working on, there's no way that I'm not going to be able to do it all alone. I can be a little stubborn sometimes and think that I have the ability to do everything myself. I did probably about 90% of this build by myself, but I got to a point where I was pretty beat up, I was pretty run down, and I needed help. And even though that the friends that came and helped didn't want money, I did pay them, and I appreciated their time in helping me in trying to achieve this. But I would say that probably 90-95% of what I did here, even though it doesn't feel like much now, I did on my own, and it was hard. It wasn't easy. But so as far as hiring goes, I want to be responsible when I make that decision to hire. I want to, obviously have the business be able to support itself, have a couple of months in the bank as far as bills go, and then if I get to a point where I'm overwhelmed and I need to make sure that I'm taking care of the customers that I have, I will make that decision on hiring, because that's going to be a completely new venture for me. I'm kind of foreign to the whole, all the laws that go with that, and the compliance and all that stuff. So it's going to be a little bit of a deal once I go to cross that bridge. But I'd like to do it before I'm in a position where I have to do it. That's to find that point, I'm not 100% certain, but Austin Collins, thanks for that question. So when, I don't know. I know I'm doing a lot more than I thought I would be doing at this point. I thought that I would be roughly a certain number, and I think at some point I will get into the analytics of the store, and I'm going to share that with folks, because there's quite a few people that are watching these videos that are in the process of setting up their own store, and they've reached out to me, and we've had a lot to talk about. So yeah, that definitely is going to be finding the right moment when I'm going to start hiring, but I want to do it before I have to start hiring. And I'm doing a lot more business right now than I ever thought I would in July, because this definitely isn't usually the busy time for this hobby. Next comment is more of a suggestion, and they write, set up a freshwater show tank in the shop, keep everything under one roof. I definitely had actually a thought on building a freshwater setup for the store, and I was actually going to put it right here next to the register when I decided that the freezer wasn't going to be here, because I don't know if you guys can hear it or not, but that freezer is incredibly loud. And I wanted to do actually a huge freshwater tank and have a drop off on it. And I got a hold of my acrylic guy. I may have talked about this on some videos. Got a hold of my acrylic guy, and he wasn't too keen on the idea of doing a drop off tank. That doesn't mean that it's impossible to do. He just doesn't like to do it, and I like to give him as much business as I can. Definitely going to consider doing a freshwater display tank, but I think the first thing that I need to get kind of figured out is the saltwater tanks, because it takes time to get a saltwater tank to a place where it actually looks really decent, and freshwater, not so much time. So I think I'm going to focus on the saltwater displays for now. And actually, while we're talking about that, I am going to be, not me specifically, but there's going to be a Red Sea being set up in the shop, which I've talked about that on the One Take Sundays. And we're going to be setting up a Red Sea 70E. I just did a top 10 for that tank for some customers that came in this past weekend, so that they are so they have something to kind of reference when they get to that point where they're starting to figure out what kind of fish they can put in there. But we are going to be setting up that Red Sea in the shop, and we're going to see how that one goes. We're going to document it, and I'm not sure if I'm going to put it on this channel or actually the Corals Unlimited YouTube channel, but I'm sure it will show up at some point here in Mad Hatter Reef sphere. Third question, and then we'll probably make this the last question for today's video. This one comes from Big Carp, and he asks, are you shipping? And as of right now, I do plan on shipping corals before the end of the year. I'd probably like to figure that out prior to fall, and I think the way that I'm going to go about doing it is I'm going to have some raceways put up in the middle room. Nothing too crazy, nothing in comparison to what we have out here on the floor, but something a little bit smaller, something a little bit more functional, and basically have it set up so it's a grid and be able to, you know, say C4 is this coral, that's the coral, what you see, what you get, and have that listed on the website. Because I think that, you know, the first two tanks where they're like the $25 section, the $40, $30, whatever, how I end up breaking that up, I think that would be hard to have that listed on the website. Folks coming in, buying stuff, folks on the website shopping, I think that could get messy. So I think that for the time being, starting out, that's going to be two separate things. I think this tank that's closest to me in the back of the shop, which is going to be the Ask tank eventually. It isn't right now, it's more of an invert tank. But I think that system will end up being the Ask tank, and I will have that be both listed on the shop and available in store at the same time. But I think that I'm starting out, before I kind of figure out a really good process, I'm going to keep them separate. I don't have any designs on shipping fish at this time. I'd like to do a little bit more research on that before, you know, I start venturing into that. But I do have some really good vendors right now. Very happy with my freshwater vendor. I'm very happy with my saltwater vendor, the one that I use for both coral and fish, or eventually will be using for fish, even though that we need to figure out this FedEx deal, because they're definitely, there's a lot of ball dropping going on right now, as far as getting my packages here when they need to be here. And it's a little bit stressful, you know, to know that it's not here today, maybe it'll be here tomorrow, and then trying to plan my week, and it makes it harder for me. You know, I ended up having 3 shipments hit me today, and you know, the way that they deliver, they end up all in the same truck, they show up all at the same time, and that's a lot of things to take care of, especially being a one-man show at this point in time. But big carp, I do have plans for shipping coral. I'd like to get that done prior to fall, and then kind of refine that over the next couple of months, and then maybe look into doing fish down the road. But for right now, that is the plan. All right, folks, that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, I would like to venture into the aspect of potentially doing a live stream here, maybe one day a week, just to kind of mix things up a little bit, because I'm sure the shaky vlog videos are a little bit much for some folks. I know that some of you like it, but I'm sure some folks do not like it. And it'll give just a different opportunity to do something a little bit different. I'm not very well versed in the live streaming game, but let me know in the comment section down below if you'd be interested in a live stream once a week, and also suggest a time. Maybe we'll do a little bit of a vote on that in the next couple of days and see what you guys think about that. But thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you have a great day. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell so you can be notified every time that I upload a new video. I'm gonna have to reach over the table. Peace.